Hey guys, HughZ here. I'm going to be looking at the SMITE OPL, getting some predictions and power rankings out there for you, and just basically talking a whole lot about the scene and about the great games that we saw over the weekend. So first, let's take a look at the standings. So a little bit of a topsy-turvy situation in the OPL at the moment, as we see Kanga Esports and Legacy Esports both tied for first position. They've played 2 matches, they've won both of them, they've won all 4 of their games. And so they find themselves, for now, on top of the standings. Next up, we have the previously undefeated LG Direwolves. They went all the split one without suffering a loss. Suffered their first loss this week to Darksided, where they split. And that's who is going to come in at our 4th position, is going to be Darksided. The only points they've got this split is in that split with Direwolves. I'm saying the word split a lot, but unfortunately, that's just how the terms are in SMITE. 5th, we have Avant-Garde, and tied with them Team Noxide. Neither of them have picked up a point yet this split. They played 2 matches, haven't got any wins yet, 0-2 in all of their endeavors. So, unfortunately, they find themselves on the bottom of the leaderboard. So, this leads directly into our first segment, which is going to be on power rankings. So, we're going to pull up the power rankings now, and as you can see, I still have the LG Direwolves on top, and then after that is going to be Darksided, then Legacy, then Kanga, then Avant, then Noxide. So, let's run through this and talk about why I have these teams where they are. So I still have the Direwolves on top for a very simple reason, and that was this split with Darksided was a lack of practice and a lot of travel catching up fine with Direwolves, and B, a new Darksided roster still in a honeymoon period, and that has got a new load of talent and caught Direwolves off guard. As well as that, the drafting for Darksided in that game too was excellent. The Ares pick completely counted like at least 4 of the picks coming out of the Direwolves, and Darksided actually played around the ability of the Ares to burn beads really, really well. And that meant people were vulnerable to things like Poseidon Kraken and Whirlpool combinations. But I still have Direwolves on top because they have a lot of international experience currently for all of their members. I mean, Mingu's only played 1 international series, but everyone else has been to 2 or more international events. You still have that solid core of Rowan and Cheetah that are always going to be at or near the top in OCE. Kiki and Richard, they're always really, really good players as well. So LG Direwolves for me are going to be the top team still moving forward. I doubt if we'll see them drop another game. I think they played their best opponents already. I think Darksided, this new roster, I think they're going to be the big challenges to Direwolves this split. Next we have Legacy Esports. So in the second position we have Darksided, and then third we have Legacy Esports. And I'm going to talk about both of these rosters at kind of the same time. Now, I'm really excited to watch these 2 match up. At the moment, despite the standings, I have Darksided over Legacy, simply because they took a game off Direwolves, something this Legacy lineup has yet to do. Or the core of this Legacy lineup. Now, both of these teams make roster moves, and both of them are actually interrelated, hence why I'm going to talk about them at the same time. So, Darksided released their ADC and mid Swifty and Shred, respectively, and they picked up from Legacy the jungler and the sub. The jungler being Yada, who's moved back to the mid role, and the sub Laney going into ADC, which was his previous natural role and where he's really shone in the past. So I think this has made the Darksided roster very, very solid overall. The Beast is really having a great time in the jungle, it seems. When he played that Circuit, he played Circuit 2 times and he's dominated both times playing it. And Zachariah is getting stronger in the solo lane. Gruff's going to be the veteran leader for this team. I still think Direwolves, at the end of the day, for the moment at least, outskills them. We'll have to see how this Darksided roster grows over the coming weeks and months into maybe they can be a legitimate contender against Direwolves. With the roster moves that Darksided made, obviously they took a player away from Legacy being Yada, so they had a hole in the jungle to fill. And they picked up Freemason, formerly of Team Noxide, who had a tremendous split in jungle, and who I think might be better for this team than Yada was. I think he's a very veteran and experienced player as well, and he was probably the best player on HughZ last split, and probably the second best jungler as well. He's got a slightly different playstyle to Yada, and I think his two main roles that he's played have been support and jungle, and that speaks to me that he knows how to play within a team more, and basically understands his role as a jungler a little bit better than what Yada did in the jungle. And we see, Yada's gone back to the mid lane, so obviously Yada wasn't having the best time in the jungle either. So I think Freemason understands how to be a jungler a little bit better than Yada, and really how Legacy go this split is all determined on the synergy Freemason can build up with the rest of his team in a very, very short period of time. For now, though, I still have them as number 3. Now, number 4, we have Kanga. And Kanga, although they sit atop the standings, they basically played the two easiest opponents this split, the two underneath them in the power rankings, Avant and HughZ. Now, I think Kanga picks up one more game this split, and that's it. Because you look at the remaining opponents they have, Direwolves, Darksided, Legacy, all 3 above them in the power rankings, and I personally believe 3 teams that are better than Kanga. Now, Kanga has performed very, very well in scrims. We're finally starting to see some of that bleed over into the OPL. I don't think, though, that we're going to see any more 2-0s out of them, and I think that they get a split either with Darksided or Legacy later on in the split when they face up against those opponents. Against the Direwolves, though, I think Direwolves is still too strong for them. And if Kanga can take a game of Direwolves, then either something's very, very wrong with the Direwolves or Kanga's the new super squad here in OCE. But that's not the case at the moment. I still think Kanga's going to be the number 4 team. I think they'll be the 4th team at LAN, actually. I think that these early 2-0s, given the short nature of the split, has put them in a very good position heading towards the gauntlet, which will determine the 4th place at LAN. Unless there's major upsets throughout the league, I don't see them getting into the top 3, but I definitely see them as the 4th team at LAN, at least this far in. Next we come to Avantgarde, and Avant is in a really tough situation because overall I think they've improved as a squad with their roster moves, adding Liquid Renegade and Royal Custard, and putting Zaze back in the ADC role. I think overall they've improved as a team. I just think the competition above them has gotten better, which is really, really tough for Avant. Maybe this is a squad that can make a run through the gauntlet, but at the moment, all the other squads other than HughZ, I feel like are just stronger than them, and it's reflected in the results as well. They just got 2-0'd by Kanga, they got 2-0'd by Direwolves at IEM. They have a couple of opportunities coming up against HughZ, Darksided, and Legacy to put some points on the board. This squad has the ability to take games with all of those teams, and I think they're probably 2-0 HughZ, but it's going to be a tough ask for Avantgarde this whole split. And last but not least, I guess technically least because they're last, is going to be HughZ. HughZ is in even a worse position than Avantgarde because they basically got destroyed by the Legacy roster move importing Freemason because it left them a player short, and they had to scramble to make a couple of different roster change and a lot of role swaps. So Noose moved from the mid lane into ADC. They imported Rana, who's going to be playing support. Mouse is in the mid lane. He's unchanged in his role. Texie's moved from solo to jungle. And Split Push has moved from ADC to solo. So 4 players are playing new roles right now for HughZ. And Mouse is the only one that's playing a role he's familiar with in the mid lane. And he wasn't even on the team last split. He did play in relegation. So this is almost an entirely new HughZ roster we're seeing this split. They haven't picked up a game yet, and I think they're going to struggle to pick up a game this split, honestly. It might have to just be against Avantgarde. Maybe they can get a split there. And, yeah, I don't know. This is going to be a very rough split for HughZ, and I think they just need to take it as like a growing split and just learning to play together as a team. And just learning their new roles. And, yeah, I don't know. Other than that, it's just going to be really, really rough for them. Right, so the next thing we are going to come to is going to be some predictions for this week, because we all know that there's going to be some tasty fantasy points online in the Caesar ticket for you guys to pick up looking at the OPL. So, let's talk about our first match. Our first match is going to be the LG Direwolves up against Kanga Esports. As I was kind of saying in the power rankings, though, Kanga have had a really strong start to the split thus far. They've done it against easy-ish opponents, and they're going up against what I would still argue is the number one team in the region, and I see this one being a 2-0 for Direwolves. Probably not a complete stomp, though. I think Kanga will make at least one of the games very difficult for Direwolves. Our next one is going to be Darksided versus Team Noxide. Now, this one I'm going to give 2-0 to Darksided, just like I gave the 2-0 to Direwolves. I think this will be a cleaner game, though. I think this will be another good game for Darksided to get used to their roster changes and try out some different compositions, things like that. Noxide need to take this as an opportunity to learn. Darksided is the hot team at the moment, and they need to accept that they will... I mean, you need to go into every game thinking that you'll win, but what Noxide need to do with this game is, I would say, study this game after it's done, no matter the result, and see what you did right, see what you did wrong, and play picks that you're comfortable with. That's the only way they're going to be able to take a game here, is if they all play comfort picks or basically totally OP picks. But at the moment, everything's pretty much totally OP, so play something that you're comfortable with. Our last match is going to be Avant-Garde versus Legacy Esports. I think this is the match that has got the most upset potential, but even then, I'm still going to give this as a 2-0 to Legacy. I still think Legacy is a very strong team. I think they showed that at both IM Sydney and in week number 2, and I think Avant just on the back foot a little bit at the moment. So this one I'm going to give 2-0 to Legacy. Alrighty guys, thank you very much for watching this video. I'll be doing more of these in the upcoming weeks. And I'll also be doing some more videos on just various things about the SMITE Oceanic scene and competitive SMITE in general, so keep an eye out for those. Look at my Twitter. You can find me at HughZ. Make sure you subscribe to this channel to get updated with all the videos and everything like that. And that's basically it. Thank you very much for watching.